Before we go for temporary and permanent SAS datasets, we need to understand SAS data libraries. In short, a SAS library is often simply a collection of SAS files that are stored in the SAS folder or directory on your computer. Other files with different extensions can be stored in the same folder or directory, but only the files that have SAS file extensions are recognized as part of the SAS library. Depending on this library name that you use when you create a SAS file, such as a SAS dataset, SAS files are stored either temporarily or permanently as follows. If, when creating a SAS file, you use the library name work, or you don't specify a library name at all, then the file is stored in a temporary SAS library called work. That is, when you close out the current session in which you created that SAS file, the temporary library and all of its files will automatically be removed from your computer's memory. If you use a library name other than the default library name work when creating a SAS file, then the file is stored permanently until you delete it. That is, you can use permanent SAS libraries and their contents in subsequent SAS sessions. Referencing permanent SAS files. SAS always refers to the dataset by a two-level name, that is, libref.filename, regardless of whether a SAS dataset is a temporary or permanent dataset, where libref is the nickname that you give the SAS data library that contains the SAS dataset, and filename is the name of the file itself. In order to print the permanent dataset called background that is stored in the SAS library called stat, we have to refer to the permanently stored SAS dataset as stat.background, and it will be written here as stat.background. Referencing temporary SAS files. We know the libref of a temporary dataset is always work. So, any SAS dataset stored in work libref will be temporary. Example, work.filename. Although SAS always refers to a SAS dataset by their two-level names, but in this case, SAS lets you take a shortcut by using just the one-level name for temporary datasets. That is, when you specify a one-level name, the default libref work is assumed by SAS. As here, work.temp1 is equivalent to temp1. Defining libraries. We use a libname statement to tell SAS to associate a name called libref to one of the folders or directories on your computer that contains SAS file. For example, I have subway directory on my computer. See, this is the link that contains some datasets. As here, you can see these are the files or datasets that we are looking for on this particular link. To tell SAS to associate the libref stat with this subdirectory, we simply use a libname statement as follows. As you can see, I have written libname stat and the following link. And what I mean by this directory is that this directory will be created. Here you can notice that work is a temporary directory in which we have this temp1 dataset stored. And similarly, when we have created stat, here also we will have dataset if we have created. And this is the libraries that are by default in SAS program. In general, the libref can be a nickname of your choice, not more than 8 characters long, and should begin with a letter or underscore and contain only letters, numbers, or underscores. You can use as many libname statements in a program as necessary to assign the librefs that you need. After submitting our libname statement, check out your log window for similar messages as this one. Libname statement is a global statement. That means our stat libref will remain in effect until we have modified it, cancelled it, or ended the SAS session. That's it. See you in next lecture.